Today is a really good topic. So if you'll recall, last time in the last video we talked about two different powers, the two powers that we use to create, which is faith and fear. Today we're going to be talking about another power, and that's the power of forgiveness. So it's the power to imprison or the power to free. So we're going to look at it from both sides of the coin today. So why is it so important to forgive? We know it's something we should make more of a priority in our lives, but why is it so critical for our happiness? The way I look at it is when you forgive, you release yourself from a real prison cell. You release yourself from that heaviness, and you also release the person or the situation that you're forgiving. So not only do you release yourself, but you release others. And it's absolutely empowering. Forgiveness to me, it's like an actual key. I want you to just envision for a minute a large gold key. And here you have this experience, this memory, this situation, a person, maybe more than one person, and they're in this prison cell. And you're in that prison cell. You're all in there together. And in that prison cell are all those feelings of hate and grief and sorrow and pain and suffering. And it's all just locked in there real tight. And you have this gold key. And that key has the power to unlock the door to that prison cell and just let everything out. Let everyone be free. So it is a power. You have that key to just let it go. To just let it go and rise above your potential. It's a really, really critical power. Some people look at it this way. This is a really great way to kind of just bring it all home. With my faith and my beliefs, I believe in a literal spirit prison and a spirit paradise. And I believe spirit prison is a place that we put ourselves. I don't believe anyone forces us to go there. I believe it's a choice that we make. It's just a place we put ourselves because we haven't forgiven ourselves, or we haven't forgiven an experience or a person in our lives, and we just want to hang on to that pain and that suffering and that guilt. And so we just let it linger, and it just weighs us down, and we're just kind of stuck. I want to share something. I wasn't sure about doing this, but I think it's just another way to kind of give it more of a spiritual perspective. I'm going to share with you a very personal experience that I've had. I've actually had it on about 3 occasions. I had some experiences not too long ago where some loved ones of mine, on 3 different occasions, a loved one of mine who had passed on, was on the other side of the veil, came to me and let me know that they were unhappy and they were stuck and they were in this dark place of grief and sorrow and despair. There was no hope, and they came to me because they didn't know what to do, and they wanted to know that they had been forgiven by all of us that they had left behind, all of us family members. And granted, they had probably, made some not so good choices in their life, and I think that they probably realized that, and they were actually keeping themselves in a prison. So instead of going on, and I guess what we say, go to the light, instead of going to the light and being with their friends and family and being in that spiritual paradise, they chose to stay stuck and just suffer that pain and sorrow and those experiences that they were not willing to let go and forgive. And also, I think they felt that guilt that they had not been forgiven. And so, I guess you could say I had a very powerful spirit-to-spirit conversation with these loved ones of mine, and let them know, you know what, we forgive you. I forgive you. My family forgives you. Go be free. Go to the light. Go progress. Go do better. Just let it go. You don't need to suffer for these problems anymore. You can forgive yourself, and we forgive you. And I literally I get goosebumps talking about it right now. I felt that energy just shift. I could feel it just shift in the room and shift all around me, and I could feel that heaviness that they were feeling absolutely escape. And I felt this light pour in and this light weight, just that feeling of freedom. And I could tell that they had decided, they had taken that key that I talked about and they had unlocked their prison cell and they let it go. And I share that with you because I think sometimes if we have that deeper perspective of how this power of forgiveness affects us not only here now in the present time, but in the future and in the eternities, it really is an important principle to understand. So why do some of us have such a hard time with forgiveness? Think about that for a minute. Think about yourself. Think about people that you know who really seem to struggle with just letting things go and forgiving. I believe with just experiences that I've had with people in my family and just people that I know, I believe it's more of a thought pattern or a thought process that, you know, if I forgive this person or if I forgive this situation, well then that means they're off the hook. They did something wrong to me and it hurt and I feel horrible and I'm a victim and they should suffer. And if I forgive them and I just let it go, then they're not going to suffer the consequences that I believe they need to have. They need to be held accountable for what they did to me. Now, does that sound familiar? I truly believe without a doubt that that is one of the most common reasons why people have such a difficult time with forgiveness. They want to be that victim and they want those people to be held accountable so that people will always know, the world will always remember how they have been wronged and how this person was the abuser. So you just really need to let that go. It's not important. You don't have to make sure others suffer their consequences. That's not your job. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility lies within you. You just need to forgive and let it go. And everything will play out how it's supposed to. I think another reason that it's hard for people to forgive is a lot of people out there don't know how to function unless they're experiencing grief and sadness and they're always in that victim mode. They just don't know how to function in a world of happiness. And so they hang on to all these experiences and all of these problems and they surround themselves in it. And these are the people that, you know, that we refer to as the negative people in our lives. The porcupines, the prickly porcupines that we just don't want to hug. And, you know, it really is, it's difficult for them to let that go because they don't know how to function without it. That's what they're used to. So sometimes it helps to have that perspective when you're dealing with people in your life who are really struggling with forgiveness. As I mentioned before, sometimes we just don't understand. We don't understand the full picture. And it's hard for us to forgive because we want to understand everything before we make that choice whether or not we're going to let it go. But what we have to realize is that we just have to change our perspective. We have to look at it from a completely different view. It's almost like you have to pull yourself away from the situation and look at it as an outsider looking in. And when you do that, a lot of times you will see everything playing out in a completely different way. Suddenly your feelings change. Maybe you're not so mad as you were before. If we have a hard time doing that, if you really struggle doing that and it's difficult for you to change your perspective or look at it from another angle, something that you can do is ask God to change your perspective. So no matter what your beliefs are, most everyone believes in a higher power. And for me, it's my Father in heaven. And I can go to Him in prayer and I can ask Him to change my perspective, to help me see things in a different way, in a different light, and possibly to be able to see it the way that he does. And that always helps soften my heart and change the way I feel about a person or a situation. And so I offer that advice to you. Give that a try and see how that helps you in your quest to forgive. So when talking about forgiveness being a key to unlock that prison cell, I'd like to share with you something from a book that I absolutely love. This book is called There Is No Death by Sarah Mennett. And she had a near-death experience back in 1979. And this book is just her entire story of what she experienced. And I want to share in there something that's always stuck with me. I found it very powerful. It's an experience where she ran into her father on the other side of the veil. And she didn't have a good relationship with her father. She hated her father. And really, when he died, she wasn't sad one bit when he passed away. He had been abusive, and a lot of things had happened throughout her childhood to where she just never thought she could ever love or forgive him. Now here's what she says. Suddenly, for some purpose, I was allowed to feel a small part of the pain that he was feeling for the life that he lived. It was so completely overwhelming and excruciating that even 22 years after that experience, I can still feel the pain my father felt. I could not bear to look at him, but I began to feel great compassion for him. As I stood there listening to him crying and feeling his horrific pain, the spirit of hate that had been my constant companion during life, causing me to hate him and everyone else, suddenly and inexplicably left me. I truly felt God remove the sword of hate out of my hand. I felt so sorry for my father, and I wanted to put my arms around him, perhaps to give him some comfort of understanding that I had forgiven him. So that just, for me, again, gives it another perspective. When you forgive, you have that power to unlock that prison cell. So not only, like I said, do you release yourself, but you release the person that you're forgiving. It's incredible. Here is another little story that I absolutely love, that I think really, again, helps see a different light on seeing things from a different perspective. This is a children's parable, and it's really cute. It's really sweet, and it's really powerful. It's called The Little Soul and the Sun, and it's by Neil Donald Walsh. So just to sum it up, there's two souls that are having a dialogue here, and they're eternal friends in the premortal realm. So they haven't come down to earth yet. They haven't been born. And they're excited to come down. They're talking about what it's going to be like. And there's friendly soul and little soul. And little soul starts to express his desire that he wants to be one who forgives. When he comes to earth, he wants to be able to be one of those people who has that ability to forgive. But in heaven, there's nothing to forgive. Everything's wonderful. So he's kind of in a predicament, thinking, will I be able to forgive? I don't know what that's like. And so as little soul is having this conversation with friendly soul pretty much says, I have an idea. How about I come down to earth and I give you something to forgive? And little soul says, well, why would you want to do that? You're such an amazing spirit. You're such an amazing being. I admire you. You're so wonderful. Why on earth would you want to come down and give me something to forgive? And here's what friendly soul says. He says, simple. I would do it because I love you. I will come into your life on earth and be the bad one. I will do something really terrible, and then you can experience yourself as the one who forgives. But what will you do? The little soul asked, just a little nervously. That will be so terrible. Oh, replied the friendly soul with a twinkle in his eye. We'll think of something. So the little soul gets excited. Now he knows he's going to come down to earth and he's going to have this experience where he can learn forgiveness. But then he looks over and he notices his friend, the friendly soul, looking a little discouraged. And he says, "What is it?" The little soul asked. "What can I do for you? You are such an angel to be willing to do this for me." "In the moment that I strike you and I smite you," the friendly soul replied, "in the moment that I do the worst to you that you could possibly imagine, in that very moment." "Yes," the little soul interrupted, "yes." "Remember who I really am." "Oh, I will," cried the little soul. "I promise. I will always remember you as I see you right here, right now." "Good," said the friendly soul, "because you see, I will have been pretending so hard, I will have forgotten myself. And if you do not remember for a very long time, and if you forget who I am, you may even forget who you are, and we will both be lost." "No, we won't," the little soul promised again. "I will remember you. And I will thank you for bringing me this gift, the chance to experience myself as who I am." I love that. So, to end on that note, I just think it's a great little story to end on. We sometimes don't have the full picture. We don't understand, and we don't remember who we were before we came here. And when we choose to see it in that light, and we choose to see the people who have wronged us in that light, it changes everything. So now comes the time at the end of the video where I give you that tip or your homework assignment. And these are just little things that you can try to help apply what it is we talk about in these videos. So I want you to make a list. Do it today if you can. Make a list of all the things that you can think of right now, all the things, experiences, people, anything in your life that you feel you are struggling to forgive. And I want you to write them all down. And I want you to take that list with you wherever you go so that you see it every day. And I want you to start saying out loud as you go down this list each day, "I forgive," and then fill in the blank. So I forgive so-and-so, or I forgive what happened to me at this time. And you just go down that list and you just say it out loud. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. And you know, at first it's going to feel really strange because you still might be struggling and thinking, well gosh, I'm kind of lying because I still feel angry and I still feel hurt. So it's hard to say these words that I'm forgiving them. But I promise you, as you keep doing it and you make it a habit to do it every day, it'll start to turn into the truth. You will really start to feel your heart change. And just by doing that, you're going to manifest that forgiveness. You're going to create that power, and you're going to feel yourself being set free. So if you're still struggling with this concept of forgiveness, and it's still something that's really hard for you, I want to share with you something that I do that works for me. Now, with my faith and with what I believe in the atonement of my Savior Jesus Christ. And what I do is if there's any burden, any feeling, anything that's weighing me down and I just don't want to deal with it anymore, I ask Him to take it. And I freely hand it over to Him. And it works every time. He takes it from me and I don't have to suffer anymore. This is something that I do every day, and it really works for me. So don't give up, don't get frustrated, and don't feel like this is something that's hopeless for you. Go into this with a positive can-do attitude. And if you truly go into this with the intentions that you want to change and you want to be different and you want to have better experiences, you will be successful. You will be able to experience the power of forgiveness. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. I know it's kind of been a deep subject, but nonetheless an important one. For more tips and videos, you can check out my website at yourhappylady.com. You can also watch my videos on my YouTube channel under Happy Marriages. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.